It's Mel. It is August 3rd, and I have today off. I have tomorrow off. I have Friday off. I have to work on Saturday, but I have Sunday off. So I have 4 of these 5 days coming up off. And I just saw Allison Pages do this video. Instead of doing a 24-hour readathon where she read for 24 hours straight, read as much as she could in 24 hours, she tried to read 24 hours worth of reading in 3 days. So I think what I would like to do is a take on that video, a take on the 24-hour readathon, which is to see how long it takes me to read 24 hours. Now it is 5:12 on the Wednesday of my 5-day period that I'm going to be reading for, and I haven't read anything at all today. So we're starting now. And we're starting with Howard's End. This is the book that I am currently reading. It was my Booktube Spin book, and I am vlogging this for Booktube Spin, but we're about to go to the beach. We're going to hang out at the beach for a little while, then we have to go grocery shopping, then I have to make dinner, but I'm going to try to see how much I can read, and I'm going to time it on my phone. Today, I won't have a lot of time to read, so we'll see how far we get in the next, whatever, 6-7 hours before I go to bed. But tomorrow I have a lot of time to read. For Thursday and Friday, I don't really have very much planned to do with my day off. I took them off because my husband is going on a trip and we are getting ready for that, and I'm taking care of the cats and all that good stuff. So I do plan to read a little bit more than I normally read. I do plan to concentrate on reading for this vlog and for this challenge. But I don't plan on reading 12 hours straight, so let's see how many days it takes me to read a full 24 hours. Will it take me very little time? Will I read for 12 hours straight? Maybe. Will I not complete this challenge and not be able to read 24 hours worth of reading in 5 days? Let's find out together. It is Thursday. It is 1:10 and I have not read anything. Yesterday I did read a little bit more of E.M. Forster's Howard's End. I read 30 minutes on the beach and I read 30 minutes before I went to bed. I had forgotten that I also read when I went peach picking with my mom. We went to a local peach farm that does peaches and apples and nectarines, and we got a bunch of peaches and nectarines. It was wonderful, and I forgot that I read my audiobook on the way there and on the way back, and that was 50 minutes worth of reading. So I read for a total of 1 hour and 50 minutes yesterday. Not off to a great start to see if we can get to 24 hours in the next 4 days, especially since this day is half over. This morning I was getting my husband ready to go. I was working on Booktube videos because I am behind on posting and editing. So I was very productive this morning, but just not reading productive. It's extremely hot. I am like sweating and I'm going to take a nap because I'm also very tired already. I want to finish my audiobook. I'm reading Little Eyes by Samanta Schweblin. I only have about 2.5 hours left of that. I think right now I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to read a little either before or after my nap, and then tonight when I'm working on various other things, I'm going to listen to my audiobook. I'm going to try and finish that audiobook today, and we'll see how many more hours I can do. And I'll check in with you when I read some more. It's Friday morning. It's Friday almost afternoon, 11:12. Ooh, 1:12. I read about 45 minutes this morning. I don't know how this experiment is going. So I've had 3 days. Really, I started late on the first day. So 1 full day, a little bit of night, a little bit of morning. And I'm not making a lot of progress on how much I'm reading. Now, I have tried to read a little bit extra than I normally would, but just due to circumstances, I haven't had much opportunity. Currently, right now, after reading this morning, I'm sitting at about 19.75 hours to go, and I only have today, the morning tomorrow, and part of Sunday to try to get to 24 hours. The reason that I'm doing this experiment is not so much to read for 24 hours, but to see how long it would take me to read for 24 hours if I was not necessarily trying to read a ton, but trying to read more than what I normally read. And because I have time off, and because I have a slow schedule this week, and because my husband's away, I thought this was a good opportunity to try this experiment. And so far, I'm not prioritizing reading very much. Today is my full day alone and my full day to read. So I am hoping I will get a lot of reading done and make a real dent in those 19 hours. Almost 20 hours. Another interesting thing about this experiment is that when I saw Allison Pages do it, she struggled with the math. And the math is confusing. So the way that I've chosen to do the math, in case you want to do this challenge as well, is I have taken 24 hours times the 24 hours by 60 minutes. Every time I read, I've been trying to keep a stopwatch going, or I've been looking at the clock, and then what I will do is convert that into minutes. So we have the 24 hours converted into minutes, we have the hours that I'm reading converted into minutes, and then we subtract. So that's how I'm getting my numbers, just in case you were wondering. Another interesting thing about this challenge that differs from Allison Pages doing it is she was reading the books and telling you all about all the books as she read them because it was a reading vlog for her. But I tell you about the books that I'm reading as a reading vlog every month in my monthly reading wrap-up. I always do it vlog style, so it seems a little redundant to wrap up the books at the end like Allison did. She was also trying to read short books to get as many books as she could in 24 hours. Now that I think I am going to follow. All that I just said being said, I did read Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur yesterday. This was one of the full books that I've completed so far. This is a book of poetry. It's mostly extremely short poems, and then there are some prose poems in there as well, kind of sprinkled in. I found this a few days ago in a little free library, and I've been kind of craving some poetry, and I've heard nothing but good things about this. Now, I don't think I'm the target audience for this. I think I'm a little too old, but obviously you can see my full review in my monthly reading wrap-up. I've also been reading Howard's End, and this is definitely picking up and becoming a little bit more obvious into what the plot is. I'm about 45% of the way through that. Next, I'm going to pick up Ellen Foster. Like I said, I'm going to try to read some complete short books over the next 3 days. So this one is extremely short. It is touted on the back to be the Southern Gothic version of Catcher in the Rye, which doesn't really sound appealing, but I just read the first 5 pages of it, and it is interesting to me. It is a child narrator, so I'm not in love with that, but it's under 150 30 pages. Oh, I'm also reading Little Eyes still. Now, yesterday I said I only had 2.5 hours, but actually I had 4 hours to go. So those are what I'm currently reading. That is the timestamp that I'm currently at for today. And I will catch up with you. Hopefully by the end of today, I will have read quite a few hours of books, and I will let you know all about that next time I see you. It is day 5. So supposedly this should be the last day that I'm working on this how long does it take me to read 24 hours project. Yesterday I wasn't able to update you at all, but as of yesterday I read 134 minutes worth of reading yesterday, which I think was good because I had to go to work, and I think most days I probably wouldn't have read anything before I went to work. Maybe if it had been another day, I would have been able to read an audiobook while I was closing my coffee shop, but because it was Saturday, I closed with someone and I didn't read any audiobooks. So maybe I would have gotten an hour of reading in. Maybe I would have gotten a little more if I read at night. If I weren't doing this project, I think I would have not read anything. I did end up reading 134 minutes, just over 2 hours. I have read Milk and Honey. I've read Batman Dark Victory by Jeff Lobe and Tim Sale. This is a reread for me. And then actually this morning I finished Two Old Women, which is a Alaskan Indigenous legend / history. But so I definitely am adhering to and following the 24-hour readathon idea of reading short books, and I'm liking that. I'm also reading Howard's End in between all those things. I think this is also a good way to approach Howard's End. Although I'm really enjoying Howard's End, it is written in a very classic style, which I am not necessarily accustomed to and cannot sit with for very long. I tend to read this book about 20 to 25 pages at a time. I am steadily making my way through it, and I am excited to continue. This was my Booktube Spin 7 book 1 book, so you will be able to see all sorts of in-depth thoughts on that in my Booktube Spin vlog, but you will also see it in my wrap-up when I'm done reading it. A couple things. I think this is showing me so far that I don't read a ton every day, but that's kind of interesting because I do get quite a bit of reading done, in my opinion. Even if I'm not super concentrating or making sure that I read a certain amount every day, I do get quite a lot of reading done. When I am concentrating on reading and when I am trying to read more than usual, I can get it done, but it has been taking my energy and effort to do so. So those are two interesting factors to this project so far. Other than that, I've found that it is hard for me to read audiobooks when I am not doing another task. I can't just sit and read an audiobook, which I knew about myself already, but even for this project, there's no way that I can force myself to do that. So I have not finished Little Eyes yet. I'm still working on that one, and it is one that I will finish by the end of this project. I thought I was going to be able to breeze through some more audiobooks during this challenge, and I cannot. I can only read an audiobook when I'm doing something else, like closing my coffee shop or working on my library, redecorate or revamp. So a lot of times there is times where I could be reading, but I'm not. Even like small tasks like doing the dishes or making dinner, I can't really concentrate on an audiobook because those are not long enough chunks of time. I find that the majority of time that I read an audiobook is in the car, at work, or at my other job where I have like 4 hours of dedicated time that I can mostly read an audiobook while I'm doing admin office kind of stuff. Not a surprise, but interesting to note. Today it is 12:17 already. I've already read 30 minutes so far, so not off to a terrible start, but definitely not going to make 13 and a half hours today. So we have two options. I could stop at the end of the day and see how close I got to 24 hours, or option number 2, we could just continue reading and see how many days and how much time it takes me to read to 24 hours. Tomorrow I'm not going to be able to read a lot. I have work, a long work day, and it's in the middle of the day. Tuesday I go to my admin job, so hopefully I'll get some good audiobook reading done there, and hopefully we'll button up this 24 hours at least by my next day off, which is Wednesday. Let me know if you think you would read 24 hours worth of reading much quicker than me. Let me know if you think it would take you a longer time. Let me know if this challenge has been interesting to you. And when I read some more, I'll let you know. I realized when editing this vlog that I never did a full outro for it, so I did end up continuing my 24-hour vlog idea, reading for 24 hours, trying to see how long it would take me to read for 24 hours for the next 2 days. The last time I spoke to you was a Sunday, and I did continue this challenge until the Tuesday of that week. So I had 7 days, maybe not entirely a full 7 days, since I started the challenge on Wednesday night and I ended the challenge on Tuesday morning, but pretty darn close. I ended up having like a crazy amount of math and work that I had to put in to see how much I actually read. The last time I spoke to you was day 5, Sunday, which was the beginning of August, and then on Monday I only read a little bit, and then on Tuesday I went to my office job, so I was able to read about 4 hours there, and the final tally was that I did not complete my 24-hour reading challenge. I was not able to read a full 24 hours worth of reading in 7 days. I was only able to read about 18.1 hours, and I still had left to go 5.91 hours. I mean, what did we learn from this project? I don't know. We learned that I don't prioritize reading as much as many booktubers do. I'm not a person who can sit down and read for 10, 12 hours at a time, blow through a million books, but I am a person who pretty consistently reads every day and does get quite a bit of reading done. I did finish several books. I finished a book of poetry. I finished a graphic novel. I finished a audiobook. I finished a Native American myth book. And so there were some short books that I finished in there, and then the whole time I was also reading longer books. So I do tend to finish multiple books within a week, but I don't read 24 hours very often. I read a little bit each day, enough to get a lot of reading done. The caveat to this whole project, though, is that every night I do listen to an audiobook to fall asleep. Now, it is the same audiobook, so I never count it in any of my reading. It is a book that I have read literally thousands of times, and some nights I will read a half an hour of it to fall asleep, and some nights, because I wake up and end up listening to more of it every night, I will read the entire book in one night. It just depends on my sleeping schedule and what's happening with me. So if you did add in the nightly audiobook that I read in order to fall asleep, I would have crushed this goal, and I would probably always crush it, and I would probably read 24 hours worth of reading in a much shorter amount of time if I counted that book. But I will never count that book because it's just a book that I read over and over and over again. I just listen to it to fall asleep. It is my comfort, my security blanket, my chamomile tea at the end of the night, and it doesn't really count towards my reading. Let me know if you found this video interesting. Let me know if you thought that I could have read more, if you thought that my days were full. Let me know if you think I ate way too many peaches this week, and let me know how long you think it would take you to read 24 hours in your current reading pace. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're having a great week, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.